Hello FPL managers, today we talk about the knee-jerk reaction for Game Week 3. This is essentially where we look at the most transferred in and transferred out players for this game week and make a recommendation to you guys as to whether or not you should go with the crowd and bring these players into your teams or release them from your squads. If you guys want to get the extra edge this FPL season, then click the top link in the description to get yourself 65% off Fantasy Football Fix Premium and also get yourselves a free strategy guide. So just before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to show support for the channel as we're trying to hit 4K subs by Game Week 5, and also click that notification bell so you guys don't miss any future uploads. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So starting off with the most transferred in players so far this game week, beginning with Tsimikas. Tsimikas is coming in at £4.1 million and got his second consecutive return of the season as he got himself a double-digit haul, scoring 11 points. This does make it 17 points in 2 games for him, as in Game Week 2 he got himself a clean sheet, an assist and 2 bonus points as Liverpool beat Burnley 2-0. Tsimikas had some very nice underlying numbers for this game as well, as he had an XA of 0.31 as he attempted 4 assists. This 4 attempted assists does rank 3rd amongst all players so far this game week, as he looks to be a very threatening option in left back. Also, Liverpool have some nice upcoming fixtures, as despite facing Chelsea in Game Week 3, they then face Leeds, Palace and Brentford after that. But with Andy Robertson returning to training and being on the bench for the most recent game against Burnley, I do think he should be fit and ready to go for Game Week 3, and I do think Andy Robertson should be close to being back to full fitness. Even if Tsimikas does start in Game Week 3, I'm not too sure Liverpool are going to get a clean sheet, and then there is an international break after Game Week 3 which will give Andy Robertson plenty of time to recover. So I do think if Tsimikas does play, then in Game Week 3 this will be his last match for Liverpool starting this season unless Robertson gets injured in the future. So I do think if you don't already have Tsimikas now, I wouldn't be transferring him in. Moving on to the second most transferred in player so far this game week, it is Tsimikas' Liverpool teammate and Diogo Jota. Jota has already seen 52,000 managers transfer him in, only behind Tsimikas' 76,000 transfers in. Jota also got himself his second consecutive return of the season as he recorded 8 points again in Game Week 2. This came about as he got himself 1 goal and also got the extra point for a clean sheet, as he looks to be a very nice strike option for Liverpool. Also at £7.5 million he looks to be great value, as he does seem to be preferred by Klopp as their striker option, as Firmino is coming off the bench. So if you can get any Liverpool forward for £7.5 million, I definitely think it'll be a nice choice, especially considering their nice upcoming fixtures of Chelsea, Leeds, Palace and Brentford. Also, Jota had some nice underlying numbers as well, as he had an XG of 0.31, XA of 0.18, 3 shots, 1 of which was on target, and as well as 2 attempted assists. His 3 shots did rank 3rd highest in the match, only behind Mane and Salah, and I definitely think for his price he could be a great value option. Also, since his starting minutes are looking fairly solid now, as he does look to be the preferred option, I definitely think he looks to be great value up top for Liverpool. And moving on to another popular transfer in this week, it is Shane Duffy. He is coming in at £4 million and is the 3rd most transferred in play, with just under 50,000 managers moving him in. Shane Duffy had a huge haul in Game Week 2 as he recorded 14 points as he picked himself up a goal and a clean sheet. Brighton had a very impressive all-round performance against Watford as they recorded a 2-0 win at home. Duffy's underlying numbers were also looking fairly good for a defender, as he had an XG of 0.05, recording 3 shots, 1 of which was on target. This has meant that in the last 2 weeks he has taken 7 shots, which ranks amongst the top 4 defenders. Also, Brighton looks to be very solid defensively as well, as they have one of the lowest expected goals considered so far this game week, which is sitting at just 0.4. So I can see why plenty of managers are bringing him in, as he is £4 million and does offer nice potential for returns, but it does look to be that he's going to be getting benched from Game Week 3 onwards. He is currently playing in place of Joel Veltman, and it does look to be that Veltman's going to be back for Game Week 3 and onwards, which would of course mean Duffy drops to the bench. So unless you already have Duffy, I wouldn't be looking to bring him in, as I'm not too sure about his starting minutes in the future, and despite being good value at $4 million, I do think Veltman will take his place. Now having a look at the most transferred up players so far this game week, beginning with John Stones. Stones is currently the most popular player to depart the squads, with over 40,000 managers moving him on. This has come about as he has yet to play any minutes so far this season, as he has been rested for the first 2 matches by Pep Guardiola. City went for the Diaz-Ake centre-back combination in Game Week 1, then switched to Diaz and Laporte in Game Week 2, so it does look to be that John Stones is the 3rd or 4th preference defender. We all knew that Man City assets would be rotated quite frequently, and we did see this against Norwich, as many players were benched that are normally starting. So at £5.5 million, you were obviously looking for a defender that is going to start, which John Stones doesn't seem to be able to provide at the moment, despite being in a very solid defence. Also, City face Arsenal and Leicester as their next 2 matches, so I'm not too sure about their clean sheet potential over these 2 games, and since John Stones does look to be unlikely to get starting minutes in the future, he doesn't look to be the best value option. And moving on to the second most popular transfer out so far this game week, it is Ivan Toney. Toney is coming in at £6.5 million and has already seen 38,000 managers move him on as he picked himself up his second consecutive blank. He has been slightly underwhelming for Brentford so far, only recording 4 points in the first 2 game weeks. Despite not registering a single shot in game week 1, he did lead shots on the ground for the Brentford and Palace game as he recorded 5 shots to his name. He did have an XG of 0.36, which also ranked top amongst all players on the pitch as he had a couple of nice chances. Also, 2 out of his 5 shots were on target as he was slightly unlucky not to get himself an attacking return. So despite blanking in the first 2 matches, he may take a little bit of time to warm up to the Premier League, and he is getting in some nice attacking positions and getting a couple of shots off as well. So I think for now it could be worthwhile holding on to Toney as Brentford have some nice upcoming fixtures. Speaking of, they face Villa, Brighton and Wolves as the next 3 matches, which are looking like games that Toney could potentially be getting attacking returns in. And moving on to the third and final top transfer out, it is Matt Targett. He's the third most popular player to depart the squads, with 32,000 managers transferring him out. This came about as he couldn't take to the pitch in game week 2 as Aston Villa preferred Ashley Young over him. He only played 45 minutes in game week 1 against Watford and 0 minutes in game week 2 against Newcastle, as it does look that Ashley Young is the preferred left back option. Also, with Matt Targett's fixture turn after game week 3, they face Chelsea, Everton, United and Spurs. I wouldn't really be looking to have Aston Villa defensive assets in for those 4 matches, so I can see why managers are moving him on. Obviously, coming into the season, he did look to be a good option as he did record 138 points last year, but since his starting minutes aren't too certain, I can see why it's a nice transfer out. Also at £5 million, there are a couple of good value options at that price, such as the likes of Sofal, or you could go down to any 4.5 million defender. So based on looking at the player performance and underlying stats, we have identified some recommended transfers, with the green players being highlighted as a good transfer in and out, and the red players highlighted as a bad transfer in or out. So looking at the top transfers in, we believe Tsimikas is a bad transfer in, as I'm not too sure about his starting minutes for game week 3 and beyond, with Andy Robertson coming back into that Liverpool team. Also, even if he does play game week 3 against Chelsea at home, which is a difficult fixture to get returns in, he definitely won't be playing after that, as there is a 2-week international break for Robertson to recover. Moving on, Jota looks to be a nice transfer in, as we have seen his starting minutes look to be fairly certain, as he does look to be preferred over Roberto Firmino. So at £7.5 million, having a Liverpool striker who has returned twice in the first 2 matches, he looks to be a nice consistent performer at a very good price. Having a look at the third most transferred in player, we have said Duffy is a bad transfer in, as I'm not too sure about his starting minutes once Joel Veltman comes back into the team, despite being good value at £4 million. Having a look at the top transfers out, Stones looks to be a good transfer out, as I'm not too sure about his starting minutes, and at £5.5 million there is plenty of other defenders that are better value than him, despite Manchester City having a very strong defense. Moving on, Toney is a bad transfer out at £6.5 million, as despite blanking in the first 2 matches, he did record 5 shots in his game week 2 game against Crystal Palace, and he could potentially be getting returns in the upcoming 3 fixtures. And to cap it off, Matt Targett is a good transfer out, as it looks to be he's the second choice left back for Aston Villa, as Ashley Young is the preferred option there, and once again there is plenty of other defenders at £5 million or less that could be better value than him. So that's all I've got for today for the knee-jerk reaction of Game Week 3. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like and subscribe to show support for the channel, as we're trying to hit 4K subs by Game Week 5, and click that notification bell so you guys don't miss any future uploads. Also, leave a comment what you guys thought of this video and what are your transfer plans coming into the next game week. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.